Hey guys, welcome back or welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing a Hitoshi Shinso X reader, and this is going to be a series. If you guys want it to be, just let me know in the comments. I'm going to be reading the first 2 chapters and then you guys can tell me if you like it or not and you want me to continue it. Anyways, before we get started, I just want to say thank you so much for 50 plus subscribers. That means the world to me, and in my last 2 videos I've gotten 400 plus views. Like, what? Thank you. And I'm sorry, I know I made some of you guys cry in my last video. I'm sorry about that, but this will hopefully be more fluffier, maybe, potentially. Anyways, please tell me if you want me to continue this series in the comments, or if you want me to do a different character, or both. Just let me know. Chapter 1, Welcome to UA High. Come on, UN, Auntie said, slowly making her way to the door. Auntie was short and a kindly woman, with her gray hair done up in a tight bun and a white lab coat. UA's high nurse and famous recovery girl. She has saved thousands, heroes and civilians alike. Starting today, you are going to follow in her footsteps, and that started with UA High. Weaving quickly through the halls of the school, you stare uncertainly down at the jigsaw puzzle Aunt gave you golden map. When she handed it to you at the doors, wanting to prove you were an independent UA student now, you had assured her you would be able to find your way alone. Contradictingly, presently, by the reality of scooting through the halls looking like a scared lost child. Class 1C was supposed to be right here, but this was a bare wall. Why? You glanced over your shoulder at the other students passing by. They all looked so calm, like they knew perfectly well where they were going, and probably because they did. But you were stuck trying to understand this stupid map. Looking back down at the stupid map, you turned, walking, trying to find some sort of clue as to where you were exactly. Reaching to the corner, you rounded it tightly, abruptly hitting into a solid wall. Wearing a school uniform? Shoot. Stepping back, you immediately felt your cheeks flush red, staring up at a tall, tired-looking boy with both wild hair and bored, light eyes, a soft purple color, his eyebrows arching as he stared back at you. Sorry, you said quickly. Don't worry about it, he said, glancing down at your map. You're looking for room 1C. I am so sorry. I don't know what voice to use for Shinso, but I'll try. You blink. Room 1C was circled in red ink on your map, but that had still been paused for him to figure out. Yeah, you admitted. Do you know where? I'm going there too. You can follow me, he said, moving around casually. Turning, you paused, watching him for a moment before quickly walking after him, shoving your map in the bag. Reaching his side, you looked up at him, his expression still bored and tired, like he hadn't slept all night. But he was showing you the way to class, so he must be nice. Swallowing, you spoke, being careful to only speak loud enough to be heard over the noise of the hall. I'm UN. Giving you a side glance, he smirked, slightly, like you knew something you didn't. Hitoshi Shinso. Though, I'm surprised you don't recognize me from the entrance exam. Smiling, you shrugged off the question, not bothering to admit that you hadn't actually participated in the entrance exam. You didn't want to be in the hero classes, nor did you have the ability. That, combined with your connection of your aunt in the school, it had been enough to simply get you into the general education level classes. Stopping at the door, suddenly Shinso opened it. Walking in, looking up, you saw the sign above it read 1C. He'd really found it. Following him inside the closed doors after you. Thank you, Shinso, you said, smiling at him. Shinso blinked, seeming confused at your thanks, before shrugging. as he rubbed the back of his neck. "Sure," he grumbled. Seeing class was about to start, most of the desks were already taken, but a few remained empty. Shinso took the seat first, sitting in an empty desk on the side of the room, next to the windows, and seeing the desk next to his was also empty, he decided to take it. Shinso didn't seem to care that you sat right next to him. Moments later, your homeroom teacher entered. As per usual, being on the first day, the teacher took the role of having each student stand up and announce their names, quirks, and goals. Seeing not everyone here is aimed to be like a hero in the upper classes. As each student stood up announcing their names and abilities loudly, you shifted uneasily on your chair. Must be nice to talk as loudly as you like without having to worry about your voice cracking or coughing. But honestly, if you weren't that way, you wouldn't either. It was normal after all. A normal you longed to have more. And as your classmates spoke beside you, Shinso stood up and introduced himself. After him, it would be your turn. "My name is Hitoshi Shinso. My quirk is brainwashing, and my goal is to become a hero," he said simply, taking a seat again. Several students in the classroom, including yourself, looked surprised at his last answer. One or two other students had already admitted to wanting to become a hero, but Shinso was different. Like what he was saying would be obvious. He was going to become a hero one day. "Next," the teacher called out. Taking a deep breath, you stood clasping your shaking hands. You wouldn't describe yourself as terribly shy. This was just really terrifying. But you were going to do your best and keep your nerves at bay. "I'm Yuan," you said as loudly as you dare. "My quirk." "Dear, speak a little louder. We can't all hear you," the teacher calls from the front. "A little louder. Okay. You could maybe do it a little louder. Opening your mouth, you try again. "My name is Yuan," you say, speaking louder than you had in quite a while, but it seemed to suffice as the teacher nodded. "My quirk ability enhanced." You coughed, but clearing your throat, you quickly said, "Enchantment." You finished, however, your voice is noticeably weaker than before. Clearing your throat again, you continued, "My goal is to become an emergency field med." Coughing again, louder, you stop. Quickly taking your seat, you stared down, feeling your face grow warm in embarrassment and anger. You would have known you wouldn't be able to do it. You'd known the moment the teacher had asked you to, but you'd done it anyway, just because you had wanted to be able to do it. You just couldn't go through a clear conversation loud enough without coughing. As the rest of the students stood, introducing themselves and their goals, you sighed, propping your head up with your hands. As far-fetched as any of their dreams seemed, none of them seemed quite as far-fetched as yours. The sickly girl who wanted to become an emergency medic. But it was only your voice. You didn't need your voice to help people. You just needed your quirk. Blowing a strand of hair out of your vision, a face became visible to you. A face turned slightly towards you, purple eyes watching you. "Shinso?" Sitting up, you turned to look at him, but his eyes were already shifting back to the front of the room. He sat ignoring you as if he was guilty of nothing. But why had he been watching you? Chapter 2, A New Friend. Your voice. Sitting outside on the grass under a large tree, you stared up at the pieces of the blue sky that peered through the leaves. It was beautiful. You could imagine spending most of your lunches out here in the courtyard rather than in the lunchroom. Even if you had joined your class in the cafeteria, you wouldn't be able to speak loudly enough for them to hear you over the crowds. So what was the point? Pulling your lunchbox from your bag, you pop the lid off, smiling down at your yummy food, whatever yummy food you like. Along with it was a large bag of almonds your auntie had demanded you pack to stay fluid. She always thought of that. Sorry if you're allergic, just skip that part if you are. Taking a bite, you smiled. Tasted good. Not many students were around, and those that were didn't pay you any attention. Meow. Straightening at the sound, you turned. Standing behind you, stared up, was a bright lavender eye with small black cat, which was a small black cat. Meowing again, it circled to your side, whipping its tail. From the look of the skinny body and tattered hair, he was probably a stray. Poor thing. Scooping a bit of your lunch, you let it drop on the ground next to you. The cat immediately started licking it. Taking another bite yourself, you smile. He was quite hungry, the little guy. He finished his bite in half the time it took you to finish yours. Licking his mouth, the cat looked back at you again, expecting, meowing again. Oh, is that that so? You said quietly back. The volume you had used during class had really trashed your voice for the day, and the fact that you had been stressed most of the day hadn't helped. But the cat didn't mind. Whipping its tail, it moved a bit closer, watching you closely. Those intelligent light blue eyes reminded you of someone else, someone who liked to stare. Smiling lightly to yourself, you scooped another bit of your food and dropped it on the ground for your new friend. This is like chapter 2, part 2, but this is in your teacher's third person, so it's not you right now. Okay, let's get into it. In entering the medical center, the homeroom teacher of 1C spotted a recovery girl sitting quietly at the table filing out her files, and the new year's meant new paperwork. Excuse me, recovery girl, the teacher called, approaching. You are listed as Yuen's guardian, is that correct? That is right, recovery girl said, looking up from her work. The teacher blinked, surprised. I didn't know you had any children. The recovery girl held up her gloved hand. Aunt, I never had time for those kind of things. Oh, I'm sorry. I just had a few questions about Yuen. The teacher stuttered, her cheeks turning pink. The recovery girl smiled kindly as she always did. Her voice? She gasped. Yes, the teacher replied. Pushing her chair away from the table, recovery girl shifted her position towards the teacher, folding her arms. 2 years ago, Yuen was in an accident with her parents. My brother and his wife passed away, and Yuen suffered extreme injuries to her neck and larynx. To be frank, she also should have been dead from those injuries, but I know by brother's work anywhere. He was always so stubborn about helping others. He likely died healing his own daughter. The recovery girl explained, face soft with loss. Yuen recovered, well, thanks to her father, but her body was not able to properly be restored. Not even my quirk was able to do much for her. Some doctors believe the condition may be partly mental, but what do they know? Recovery girl scoffed. I see. I am so sorry for your loss, the teacher said, pausing momentarily. But I'm afraid that your niece may struggle in the class if she's not able to communicate loudly enough. Perhaps, the recovery girl said, nodding. But Yuen has been going through this for 2 years. She has found other ways to be heard. The teacher stood for a moment longer, still seeming unconvinced, but finally nodded. If you believe so, I trust you. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that. This is kind of ironic because I have a sore throat, so I'm sorry if I'm a bit quiet, but I guess it kind of matches the story. I just want to say thank you again. Thank you so much, everyone who watches my videos, or if any one of you subscribed. That means so much to me. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Please, please, please tell me if you want me to do more parts to this. Also, I think I might have forgotten to mention this. This is not my story. This is on Wattpad. It's made by Fox TWT. I would never want to take credit for someone else's story, ever. I'm so sorry for not mentioning this sooner. I don't know if I did, but I probably forgot. It's on Wattpad. It'll be in the description. And I hope you like this video. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Bye!